Hey everyone, welcome to this video where we're going to be covering some of the most incredible brain boosting compounds in existence. And I want to start by asking you a simple question. What would you think if someone told you that taking a pill could make you feel smarter, sharper, and more creative? What if they told you a pill could maintain those feelings throughout the rest of your life? Would you call it BS? Because I'm here to tell you right now that those pills exist. They're called nootropics, and they include an array of compounds that either improve cognitive function or prevent cognitive decline. These brain boosting supplements work through a variety of mechanisms to improve brain health and functionality. They increase blood flow and nutrient delivery to brain cells. They reduce neuroinflammation and oxidative stress. They bolster mitochondrial function and energy production. They facilitate the removal of neurotoxins. They promote the growth of neurons. They improve neuronal communication and synaptic plasticity. They increase neurotransmitter signaling. The nootropics we're going to cover in this video are some of the most incredible out there, and they're only a small portion of what's available to you. In this video, I'm going to briefly talk about just 8 of the most potent natural nootropic compounds in existence. But this is only a taste of the information that you can obtain. If you really want to deep dive into the research on these 8 compounds, plus learn about 16 other absolutely incredible nootropics, then head over to theenergyblueprint.com/nootropics and download our free ebook. So, with all that said, let's get started. We're going to start off with a mineral I'm sure you're all familiar with, magnesium. Magnesium is required for over 300 enzymes to function properly. We need it for our muscles to contract, to regulate blood pressure, for proper insulin signaling, and for the synthesis of DNA and proteins. Within the brain and nervous system, magnesium is required for optimal nerve transmission and protection against excitotoxicity. And in particular, one of the enzymes that relies upon magnesium is ATP synthase, which is responsible for generating cellular energy within mitochondria. Without magnesium, your mitochondria simply cannot function efficiently, which matters because mitochondrial dysfunction is a central component of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. For example, those with Parkinson's disease have lower brain concentrations of magnesium than those without, and the extent of magnesium depletion correlates with symptom severity. Similarly, those with Alzheimer's disease have lower brain concentrations of magnesium compared to those without. But not all forms of magnesium are the same. You're going to find many different types on the market, and the evidence is clear that magnesium taurate demonstrates a superior ability to enter into the brain and increase the brain's magnesium status. Just take a look at this graph. One study compared the tissue distribution of magnesium 8 hours after taking equal amounts of magnesium citrate, malate, oxide, sulfate, and taurate. And it was shown that magnesium taurate increased brain magnesium concentrations 10 to 20% more than all the other forms. In another study, the tissue distribution of magnesium 24 hours after supplementation was compared between different doses of magnesium citrate, glycinate, malate, and taurate. Just 45 milligrams of magnesium taurate was enough to increase brain concentrations to the same extent as 400 milligrams of glycinate or citrate, and was 23% more effective than 400 milligrams of malate. So the key point being, magnesium plays a critical role in neurotransmission, neuroprotection, and energy production within the brain. Low brain concentrations of magnesium have been linked to neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's, and the ideal supplemental form of magnesium for increasing brain concentrations is magnesium taurate. Next, we're going to talk about L-tyrosine. It's a conditionally essential amino acid that serves as the precursor molecule from which we create the catecholamines, dopamine, adrenaline, noradrenaline. Your brain needs a steady supply of tyrosine to make the catecholamines and keep your mental health at its peak, particularly if you are under a lot of stress. Several clinical trials have shown that supplementing with anywhere from 2 to 12 grams per day of tyrosine improves cognition, alertness, and memory in stressful and demanding situations in otherwise healthy adults. In healthy adults who are up all day only to work through the night. They're spending 24 hours staying awake. 10 grams of tyrosine significantly reduces the amount of cognitive decline they would have experienced otherwise due to sleep loss. In military cadets undergoing a week of intense military combat training, 2 grams of tyrosine better maintains their memory throughout the training sessions. And in healthy adults exposed to 90 minutes of cold water immersion, 10 grams of tyrosine taken beforehand improves working memory and information processing. The key point being, L-tyrosine is a precursor to the catecholamines, and supplementation can help maintain cognitive function when you're under high levels of stress that would otherwise drain your brain of dopamine, adrenaline, and noradrenaline. Next up, we're going to talk about a special compound, a special form of carnitine. Carnitine is an essential component of mitochondria. It's responsible for shuttling fatty acids across the mitochondrial membranes so that they can be used for energy production. Acetyl L-carnitine, abbreviated as ALCAR, is a unique form of L-carnitine that has the ability to easily cross the blood-brain barrier and increase mitochondrial function and energy production specifically within the brain. And we know that ALCAR concentrations slowly decline as cognitive impairment progresses, ultimately being 36% lower in people with Alzheimer's disease than in healthy adults, 28% lower in those with just mild cognitive impairment, and 22% lower in people that just complain about having memory problems. A meta-analysis of 21 randomized controlled trials involving patients with mild cognitive impairment or Alzheimer's disease found that 1.5 to 3 grams of ALCAR significantly improved cognitive function and prevented the progression of Alzheimer's disease after as little as 3 months. Supplementing 1.5 to 2 grams per day of ALCAR has also been shown to significantly improve cognitive function, particularly memory and attention, in older adults that are suffering from mild cognitive impairment or vascular dementia. And in elderly adults suffering from excessive fatigue, 4 grams per day of ALCAR improves cognitive function, reduces mental and physical fatigue, and improves their ability to function in their daily lives. The key point being, acetyl L-carnitine, ALCAR, increases mitochondrial function and energy production within the brain, and supplementation has been shown to improve cognitive function in those with neurodegenerative disorders or dementia. By the way, guys, I just want to remind you, if you're enjoying all this information and you want to learn more about these compounds, all you have to do is go to theenergyblueprint.com/nootropics and download our free ebook. So next up, we're talking about rhodiola rosea. Rhodiola is a medicinal herb traditionally used for enhancing mental performance and resilience to stress. And its effects are due to the numerous ways rhodiola interacts with genes, signaling pathways, and molecular networks within neuronal cells to alter our emotional behavior. Specifically, rhodiola acts within the brain as a neuroprotective, cognitive enhancing, and mood stabilizing agent through reducing neuronal cell death and promoting regeneration, functioning as an antioxidant and anti-inflammatory, facilitating neurotransmission, and regulating several key mediators of the stress response within the hypothalamic pituitary axis. It's an incredibly powerful adaptogen with effects noticed soon after regular supplementation. I mean, get this. In a large study of over 100 adults with chronic work and life-related stress, 400 milligrams per day of rhodiola significantly reduced feelings of exhaustion, irritability, and anxiety in as little as 3 days. And after just 1 week of supplementing, most of those symptom scores were cut in half. Other studies have found similar anti-stress and mood-boosting benefits. In first-year medical students, taking 100 milligrams per day for 3 weeks before exams improved mental performance by 50%, reduced mental fatigue by 42%, and increased their overall well-being by 8%. The exam scores for those who used rhodiola were 8 to 9% higher compared to those who took a placebo supplement. And then in young military cadets, a single dose of 370 milligrams taken an hour before cognitive tests improved overall well-being, mental fatigue, and cognitive performance. In a study of working adults suffering from burnout, a third of whom had been unsuccessfully treated for their stress in the past, just 400 milligrams per day of rhodiola improved every aspect of their quality of life and perceived stress after just 1 week. with further improvements seen after 12 weeks. The key point being, rhodiola rosea is a potent adaptogen that improves cognitive function and stress resilience, particularly though in those with stressful lives. All right, next up's another herb called Bacopa monnieri. It's an Ayurvedic swamp plant called Brahmi, traditionally used for the enhancement of memory and cognition, as well as being a general brain tonic. Its bioactive constituents, the bacosides, have numerous biological effects within the brain that facilitate this use. They reduce oxidative stress and increase antioxidant enzyme activity, reduce inflammation, they're neuroprotective, reduce beta amyloid deposition, increase the growth of nerve endings to enhance neuronal communication, and they increase blood flow and the delivery of oxygen and nutrients. In healthy elderly adults, supplementing with 300 milligrams per day of Bacopa for 12 weeks significantly improved reaction times, the continuity of attention, the quality of memory, and the speed of memory by 15 to 30% compared to a placebo. In healthy adults, 300 milligrams of Bacopa for 12 weeks significantly improves working memory and visual processing abilities. In healthy elderly adults, 300 milligrams of Bacopa for 12 weeks significantly improves multiple measures of cognitive performance and mood state compared to a placebo, including memory, reaction time, depression, and anxiety. In young medical students, 300 milligrams per day of Bacopa for 6 weeks significantly improved efficacy of attention, freedom from distractibility, and working memory. The key point being, Bacopa monnieri is an Ayurvedic herb shown to improve memory and cognitive function in healthy adults and in those with Alzheimer's disease. All right, so now we're up to our last 3 supplements, and all of these fall within a general category called cholinergics. And cholinergics are compounds that increase brain choline concentrations and acetylcholine signaling. So choline is an essential nutrient within the brain required for the synthesis of acetylcholine, which is the primary neurotransmitter involved in executive functions, and for the synthesis of phosphatidylcholine, which is one of the most abundant and important structural components of cell membranes. It's well established that choline within the brain plays a critical role in neuronal plasticity, membrane stability, signaling events, and neurotransmission. It is, without a doubt, neuroprotective. And low brain concentrations is one of the primary contributors to vascular dementia and Alzheimer's disease. In fact, if you take young adults and inhibit acetylcholine signaling, they demonstrate similar impairments to long-term and working memory as elderly adults suffering from cognitive decline. Moreover, reductions in acetylcholine signaling set the brain up to be less plastic and more vulnerable from other insults like oxidative stress, inflammation, and injury. And it's for these reasons Alzheimer's disease is currently treated with acetylcholinesterase inhibitors, a group of drugs that increase acetylcholine concentrations by inhibiting the enzyme that degrades it, acetylcholinesterase. Yet there are several natural compounds that have similar effects, and that's what we're going to talk about now. First up is alpha glycerophosphocholene, or alpha GPC for short. It's a highly bioavailable source of choline for the brain. After ingestion, studies have shown that blood and brain levels of choline in glycerophosphate increase substantially over 5 to 10 hours, and they remain elevated for more than a day. As of 2007, alpha GPC has been investigated in 14 clinical trials enrolling individuals with neurodegenerative disorders, vascular dementia, or stroke, and the results have been very positive, showing that alpha GPC protects the brain, supports neurotransmission, and protects against cognitive decline. It may even be more potent than current Alzheimer's drug therapies. Let me give you an example. Compared to a drug therapy for Alzheimer's disease, the cholinesterase inhibitor called donepezil, 1,200 milligrams per day of alpha GPC is more effective at improving cognition over 6 months. The key point being, alpha GPC is a potent source of choline for the brain that appears to be superior to conventional drugs for preventing cognitive decline with aging and in Alzheimer's. Next up, we're talking about CDP choline. Like with alpha GPC, CDP choline is a bioavailable source of choline for the brain. Unlike alpha GPC, however, CDP choline is the direct precursor for the synthesis of phosphatidylcholine, one of the most abundant and important structural components of cell membranes. Research in humans has shown that taking CDP choline increases phosphatidylcholine synthesis within the brain, leading to improved cell membrane health, neuroplasticity, and a variety of cognitive enhancements. For example, a Cochrane systematic review of 14 double-blind placebo-controlled trials of older adults with cognitive deficits like dementia reported that 600 to 1,000 milligrams per day of CDP choline was able to improve memory, correct abnormal behaviors, and increase the global impression that physicians have towards the patients. 2 later studies involving older adults with dementia or Alzheimer's disease found that 1,000 milligrams per day of CDP choline plus a common Alzheimer's disease medication prevented the deterioration of cognition over 9 months compared to the drug alone. And even in healthy adolescents and middle-aged women, CDP choline has been shown to improve attention, increase motor function, and reduce impulsivity. The key point being, CDP choline increases brain concentrations of phosphatidylcholine, one of the most abundant and important structural components of cell membranes, and it has been shown to improve cognitive function in both healthy adults and those suffering from cognitive decline. All right, so last up we have Huperzine A, which is a naturally occurring acetylcholinesterase inhibitor, meaning it prevents the breakdown of acetylcholine just like many Alzheimer's drugs do. At least 20 randomized controlled trials have evaluated its efficacy in patients with Alzheimer's disease, and a meta-analysis of those studies has shown improvements for cognitive function, daily living activities, and global clinical assessments with doses of 200 to 800 micrograms over just 8 to 36 weeks. Other meta-analyses have reported that Huperzine A improves cognition in those with vascular dementia, as well as in those with major depression. The key point being, Huperzine A is a naturally occurring acetylcholinesterase inhibitor that improves cognition and functional capacities in those with Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia or cognitive impairment. All right, guys, that's it. And I just want to remind you, if you enjoyed all this information and want to learn more about these compounds and learn about 16 other super powerful nootropics that I didn't have time to cover, all you have to do is go to theenergyblueprint.com/nootropics and download our free ebook. I also want to mention that every single one of these amazing brain-boosting compounds, along with numerous others, is contained within our product, Ultra Brain. It's amazing. We have had so many people raving about it since it's been out over the last several weeks, telling us about how incredible it makes them feel in a matter of days. This is a 100% no PS product. It provides you with clinically effective dosages of 18 different compounds that are guaranteed to take your cognitive abilities and mood to the next level. If you haven't already picked up your bottle, then head over to theenergyblueprint.com/ultrabrain and grab some now.
Hey there, this is Ari again. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, if you found it valuable, please share it with your friends, share it with your family, help me get the word out there. Also, if you're on YouTube, make sure to hit the subscribe button and hit that little bell to get notifications every time we release a new video or new episode of the podcast. And if you're listening to this, make sure to subscribe to this podcast on iTunes or on your favorite podcast app. Thanks so much for supporting my work at The Energy Blueprint. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I will see you in the next one.